Welcome to another episode of Mission Compliance, Unleashing Growth Potential for Defense Contractors. In today's episode, we continue down the road of understanding CMMC, its regulations, and controls. Up next is AC L2-3.1.19, Encrypt CUI on mobile devices and mobile computing platforms. We'll break down what this control means, why it matters, and how it impacts your organization's cybersecurity posture. We'll also provide practical insights and strategies for achieving compliance and securing your systems effectively. So whether you're a defense contractor aiming to win more contracts or simply someone interested in bolstering your cybersecurity knowledge, you're in the right place. Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? We're joined once again by Mike Frieder, President of On-Call Compliance Solutions and a CMMC Professional Assessor. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Hey, great to see you again, Roman.
And Mike, big news. This is our 50th episode of the podcast.
This is the one, huh?
This is the one.
Oh, that's
awesome.
awesome.
I wish I had party hats and a noisemaker right now. I don't, but we can still celebrate. This is the one. This is number 50.
That is awesome. I mean, I think we've got to just, take a minute to thank the audience because, I don't know about you, but I know that we surged well past 1.15 million views not too long ago. And I mean, we're on our way to 2. We got a couple thousand subscribers now, and it's just, boy, if you're listening to this podcast, thank you for listening to it. Thank you for giving us that valuable time out of your day. We hope that you get a ton of value, maybe even a little bit of humor out of it. And we just love doing this. I mean, I think it's awesome because compliance is such a murky jungle of questions. So if we can help to provide a little bit of clarity there, you know what, then we're that makes us happy, right? We're doing the right thing in the world. So definitely, especially, and if you're one of the many people who listen to the podcast but you haven't subscribed yet, this is our 50th episode. We're not going away. It's I think I heard a statistic not too long ago that Joe Rogan had only done like 400 podcasts or something like that. And all I can tell you is we love doing this here. Every single day, every single week, the listenership, the viewership on YouTube of the podcast gets better and better. And you know what? Give us that feedback. We've taken that feedback. We're answering questions in some of our podcast episodes, if you've noticed lately. And we just really can't thank you guys enough. 50 episodes strong, Roman. Can you believe it?
Nobody needs to call the police because we've already got the 5-0. All right, that was really bad. But, like you said, we're not going anywhere because this is episode 50 and we're still in the first control family.
That also is pretty funny.
We still have what, 90 of these to go.
That's right. I see your 400 episodes, Joe Rogan, and I will raise you about 600 by the time we finish.
We're coming for you. But with that being said, as I said in the previous episode, we're talking about encryption once again. But last week we talked about encryption in a more general sense. Today we're talking about encryption in a compliance sense as far as these controls and specifically mobile devices. So why is it important to encrypt CUI on mobile devices?
Great question, Roman. And as we kind of get rolling here, I think that there's one thing that I really, really want to point out, which is if you look at this control 3.1.19, encrypt CUI on mobile devices, why aren't they just saying encrypt all devices that hold CUI? And the answer is, well, they just haven't, right? So if it's not a mobile device or mobile computing platform, right? But it's a computer, so like say a desktop or a server in a secure server rack, it's specifically calling out, the control is specifically calling out mobile devices and mobile computing platforms. So if it doesn't move, what do we have to assume that means? Well, we probably have to skip ahead about 100 controls to find out for sure. But I'll go ahead and give the cat out of the bag, if you will. Not all devices have to be encrypted. That is, first off, that's impractical. Second off, there's performance-related reasons to not do that. Remember, encryption takes up performance. And then there's the reality of when is it dangerous or when is it, a high likelihood something could get lost and in the wrong hands. And again, the answer is when that device is mobile, right? Mobile phones, tablets, laptops, these things are all very easy to lose. as you're traveling and going about and things like that. So that's the first thing to understand. What is this all about? Well, this particular control talks about the need to apply encryption to mobile devices. What is a mobile device? Well, it's a laptop, right? But it's not just a laptop these days. It's not so straightforward. What is a Microsoft Surface? Is it a tablet? Is it a laptop? Is it both? Is it, so they've come up with this name called a mobile device or mobile computing platform. Because laptops may not always look like laptops. Sometimes we have smartphones that have two screens and they fold down and I mean, now you know what LG has got roll-up screens. Is that a mobile computing platform? Well, does it move? So again, the control is all about the protection of devices that have a higher than normal likelihood of being stolen or falling into the wrong hands. And that's what this control is really all about, Roman.
You know, the thing screens are getting weirder, man. I'll tell you, I was once in a phone store and I talked a mom out of getting, how they came up with those flip phones that are like all the it's all the screen.
Yeah.
Like I talked to mom out of getting it for her teenage daughter. I'm sure the daughter wasn't thrilled with me because I was like, my concern with those, because it's all screen, is if you like take that thing to the beach and then like you get sand on it and then you close the screen and then there's a grain of sand all in the screen. Like I feel like the damage that thing could do, and I think I talked her out of getting it. And I don't think the daughter was too pleased with me, but some of the stuff we're doing with screens now is really weirding me out because I'm paranoid about like, oh, it's gonna get messed up so much easier.
Or
But
like I was in Best Buy just earlier this morning, and they have this gaming monitor. Like I have two curve monitors on my desk, and the curve is honestly pretty slight. I mean, it's not a severe curve. The curve on this monitor that I saw, and they called it an immersive gaming monitor, it was, I mean, I think this thing came around almost 45 degrees. It was really wild. So, yeah, you can't just describe it as a laptop anymore because you can compute on so many different kinds of devices.
eventually it's gonna be like one of those things where like it's just an enclosed like ring and you just stick your head in the middle of it. Like you just have to pop up from underneath.
Well, and that reminds me of, the Ray-Ban slash Meta glasses. I tried a pair of those on today when I was there fooling around. And, those are mobile computing platforms. They can do all the same things. Matter of fact, actually, I was thinking to myself, how could I use this? Because, I'm a techie guy and I think playing with all new tech is kind of fun. And it dawned on me that, I don't use a Bluetooth earpiece. I just never have. I never liked the feeling of having something in my ear. It disconnects constantly anyway. It's just not my thing. However, if I had that and I was outside or driving my car, I would totally take phone calls on that thing. That'd be amazing. I think, all you really need to do is just pop out the lenses and probably put in some transition lenses, and I think you'd be good to go on that. So,
Yeah,
I think
I'm right there with you on having things in your ear. I never liked earbuds. I always like the ones where with the little thing that goes over the top of your ear.
that's a
Uh
yeah, the
you know,
Beats
but
Pro.
there you go. There you go. And now I even have like the over the top headphones like we used to have because I was like this is just more comfortable. But
That's right.
but but
We,
but
we
back to
got
the
we got to
re
thank Dr. Dre for bringing it back.
there you go. But back to the reason we're here. What are the key assessment points that an assessor will be looking for on this one?
Yeah, this one's pretty easy. So there's really only two assessment points. The first one is to determine if mobile devices and mobile computing platforms that process, store, or transmit CUI are identified. So again, this brings in the necessity to identify these mobile devices. Where do you define them, or where are you sort of identifying them? You're going to identify them in your baseline configuration documentation. Now that comes several control families later. But obviously, from Section 1 and Section 2 of the NIST security plan, particularly Section 2, you can tell that you're required to document everything that you have that could possibly touch CUI. So as a result, again, you're gonna need to have those devices identified so that an assessor can find out which devices need to be protected. Now, if I was giving a sample answer, I might say something like mobile devices are identified by system naming convention in Active Directory and via network inventory documentation. So again, we cover the network inventory and documentation. Another way in the case of this answer, deals with being able to see it in Active Directory. So a couple of different ways to do that. And that covers that assessment point. So first, we've got to identify what are those mobile devices that are going to access CUI. Second piece is determine if encryption is employed to protect CUI on identified mobile devices and mobile computing platforms. So one, do you know what your mobile devices are? Two, is there encryption in place? Encryption is employed via BitLocker drive encryption, and group policy enforces its use within all computers in the OU that has access to CUI. So again, the main thing is we just have to make sure that whether it's drive encryption on an Apple device or BitLocker for PCs, one of those is going to have to be on. You're going to have to probably provide a screenshot or even let them do a live screen share to prove that that is in fact turned on. And yeah, with that, that's it. That's all they're looking for. It's have you identified the mobile devices and have you encrypted them?
Any potential difficulties enacting this one for your organization?
It's interesting. You wouldn't think so. At this point now, Apple operating systems or iOS and Android and Windows, they all have built-in encryption. Just about every smartphone these days comes with an encrypted disk storage or chip storage, if you will. So I think, is there difficulty in enforcing this? No, I don't think so. The one thing I will comment on is, interestingly, despite the feature being available in every operating system and you can enforce it through group policy, and lots of other ways, I actually rarely see that this has been enabled properly. It's a big point that we catch a lot of companies on. They just simply deploy out their machines. They don't think about encryption. It's not a big deal for them. Again, the solution, very simple. It doesn't cost anything. I'll tell you that when you are, like many of our clients, going into the Azure government environment, or you've got Office 365 GCC High, we advise everyone at this point to go for conditional access and go for Intune. Enroll the devices in Intune, and then Intune, you can say, hey, unless drive encryption is turned on, they can't access the CUI in GCC High. That's pretty cool. We've sort of made that a mandatory step in our Intune policies. And if you don't know what any of that stuff is, I would just highly encourage you, give us a call. We'll walk you through every bit of this. It doesn't cost you a penny to talk to one of our certified experts. That's what they're there for, is to help you guys understand our awesome podcasting audience, YouTube people. Look, if you're struggling with this stuff, I got to tell you, in 2 to 3 days, we can go out there, give you a gap analysis, do a full-blown risk assessment, come back in, design your plan of action with milestones. We're the only company in the world that does it that fast, that does it that efficiently, and frankly gives you that comprehensive of a literally paint by numbers way to get compliant. Again, it's why we're out here doing what we're doing. It's why we have such a big following. Again, people in the defense industry love us. And it's because we make this so simple. And you know what the best part is? We'll tell you for free. It's not a big deal. Call us, submit one of the forms on our website. You can go to cmmccompliancesecrets.com. That's our website, cmmccompliancesecrets.com. If you're struggling trying to figure this out, all I can tell you is that's the easiest way. I mean, just don't keep banging your head against the wall. I get it. You want to figure it out yourself, but we'll just tell you for free. If this is really all you're having a problem with, no worries. Just call us. Okay, we'll give you the answer for free.
All right, Mike, you know what time it is. It's time to get a little silly. What if the mobile device encryption accidentally encrypts my phone number and I forget
I guess you just call Verizon.
it? Well, that would be kind of difficult because I have T-Mobile.
Just call Verizon anyway.
There you go.
I think the one thing I will say is that the downfall of encryption is that if your device breaks, you can't just pull the storage out, go stick it in another computer or device and get the data off. It's a lock and key kind of scenario, and encryption is the locked part. So, it does make data recovery unbelievably hard, and in most cases impossible if you don't have the encryption key. So I think you need to be worried about that, and I think it's a really, really good excuse to make sure that you have adequately backed up to another source anything that's important, because you will lose it, right? If that device has any kind of a hardware failure, that is going to be a problem, significant problem. So yeah, it's not, we can joke about it, but it's encryption does have several downfalls. It has the downfall of not being able to easily recover from, that's by design. But then the second part is, it also is a performance hit, right? On the way in and out, that information has to be encrypted and decrypted. So there are strong considerations that you need to make before moving forward with something like this. But again, that's something that we can help you with. Or again, it's really pretty straightforward. It's not hard to do, and you just have to kind of pick the right solution.
Exactly, exactly. And I have a funny story about this kind of thing, and maybe I've told it on the podcast before, maybe not. If I have, it's too funny not to share again. Um, when I was 15, I had my first cell phone, and parents, don't get your kids cell phones too early. It's good for them. When I was 15, I had my first cell phone, and one day I was sitting around, I was messing around with all the features and looking at what it was, and I stumbled on a on a lock feature that I didn't know about, and I accidentally locked myself out of my phone. And when I tried to get back in, it kept asking for the 4-digit unlock code, and I was like, "Well, I didn't set one, so I have no idea." And so, as any dumb 15-year-old kid would do, I'd be like 0001, 0002, 0003, and I think it was like a day and a half, and I was up to like 15. I was up to the 15s, and I'm out to dinner with my older brother, and I said, "Yeah, my phone is locked, and there's a 4-digit password, and I can't get in, and I'm going one at a time, and I can't do it." And I was like, I've gotten all the way up to 1,500, and he takes the phone from me, and he looks at it for a second, and he goes, "What's the last 4 digits of your phone number?" And I told him, and he put it in, and that was it. And the crazy thing about it is that my phone number, the last 4 digits of my phone number, starts with an 8. It would have been days before I got there on my own.
Man, oh man.
So be careful about that encryption on mobile devices. Only use it where you need it. Always make sure you know how to get back in.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's encryption is definitely something that needs to be carefully played with.
There you go. There you go. And that wraps up another great episode of Mission Compliance. We hope our discussion today has provided you with valuable insights, practical strategies, and inspiration to navigate the ever evolving world of defense. We'd like to extend our appreciation to Mike on this 50th episode for
Right.
providing us with valuable information on this crucial topic of encryption. Thanks, Mike, and congratulations on 50 episodes of the podcast.
Hey, likewise, Roman. Congratulations to you, and congratulations to the audience. We love doing it, and it's a great way to get this information out there, and educating millions about how to be more secure and compliant for defense work. It's what we're doing. We're changing the world.
But the conversation doesn't end here. We encourage you to continue exploring these topics and connect with us on our social media channels. Share your thoughts, ask questions, and engage with fellow listeners using the hashtag Mission Compliance Podcast. If you haven't already, what should they do, Mike?
Well, they should definitely subscribe, and for sure, they should tell their friends, especially those in the defense industry.
And if you do all that, you'll be the first to know when new episodes like this one are released. And we'd really appreciate if you could take a moment to rate and review the show. Your feedback helps us to continue to bring you thought-provoking episodes and high-quality content. Join us next time as we delve further into the dynamic world of defense, security, and industry innovation. Until then, take care, stay informed, and make compliance your mission. Roll that credit music.
Thanks, everybody.